Welcome to this special edition podcast series here on The Craft. I'm your host, Jonathon Vogel. We're going to be having the audiobook version of Desire Well, How to Understand Your Desires and Fill Them Completely. I'm really passionate and excited about this project. I'm excited to bring it to you free at no cost to you right here on this podcast. I hope you enjoy. Desire Well, How to Understand Your Desires and Fill Them Completely, by Jonathon Vogel. Narrated by Jonathon Vogel. Copyright 2025, jonathonvogel.com. To you, the reader, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, an utter gift to me. I'm so grateful for you and the time you are devoting to this book. Do not be afraid. Pope John Paul II. Forward. Jonathon offers a fresh yet wise perspective, weaving together short stories, deep insights, and practical steps to understand our desires. This book is relatable, thought-provoking, and will inspire you to become a better person. If you've ever wondered about the meaning of your desires, where they come from, and how to practically master and control them, you're in the right place. Navigating and understanding our desires can be challenging, but Jonathon provides a clear, simple, and practical guide to answering these questions. We are all on a quest for fulfillment, seeking to live a freer, more meaningful life. Often we resent our desires, believing they only lead to trouble. However, the solution is not to eliminate or repress them, but to integrate and redeem them through the transforming grace of God. Our desires are not meant to harm us, but to help us. Instead of fearing desire, we should approach it with humility and curiosity. Our desires are opportunities to learn more about ourselves. Jonathon's book is your next step toward happiness and fulfillment. Only by understanding our desires and their true purpose can we learn to direct them toward what Jonathon calls our treasure, our ultimate fulfillment. Brendan McCauley, speaker, co-founder, and president of Humanum Project. Map of Desire. In the book, there's an image of a map referring to the journey you go through with desire. You can also look at this map for free or at cost at jonathonvogel.com. What to expect. Show me what it means to love. Show me what it means to love. Open up my eyes to see what I'm scared of. Show me what it means. Song by Land of Color. This book is a guide for anyone who has desires and wants to fulfill them. My goal is to help you understand your desires. I also want to help you know how to fulfill them. To do this, I will highlight a few things. What desire is and is not, the difference between healthy and unhealthy desire, how to heal desires that have been tampered with, how to fulfill any desire with the correct answers, how to find the right dose for each answer, and how to recognize and meet your unique recipe of desires. If you struggle to fulfill or understand your desires, this book is for you. A friend or family member may have given it to you. You may have picked it up yourself. No matter who you are, this book will help you. That is a promise. This book is for anyone trying to figure out who they are, figure out what they want, figure out what they need, find more happiness in life, find more fulfillment in life, or find their identity or true self. This book is the first answer you need to learn about yourself in a natural, helpful way. It will help you see what's happening inside you. We will look at practical steps for healing, health, and wholeness. Take a step in faith as you begin this short book. I promise you, it will be worth it. How I wrote this book. Who am I? Why do I have the authority to write this book? Like you, I'm a human being who struggles to find happiness and meaning in life. It's not like I found some special elixir or the fountain of youth. I don't have all the answers. What I do have is my experience and lessons learned. After suffering through many mistakes and frustrated desires, I reached a tipping point. I wanted a clear and simple way to navigate the complex nature of my desires. I needed a clear roadmap to get full satisfaction and happiness. I decided to embark on what turned out to be the adventure of a lifetime, to learn how to fulfill every good desire I have. I wanted to figure out what was going on inside me. Why do I desire? How can I better understand who I am? Why do I keep desiring without finding satisfaction? Many people talk about finding happiness or processing the past as a way to move forward in life, but almost no one discusses these things through the lens of desire. So I went into this book thinking I would create a whole new way of seeing desire that would revolutionize how we think about ourselves as human beings. What I ended up discovering is that the ways of fulfillment have been tried and tested for thousands of years. I just needed to learn them and apply them. That's why I found it necessary to document my findings as I journeyed toward the answers. I didn't want to create a flawed way of thinking. I wanted the process of total satisfaction to be applicable to anyone, regardless of where they come from or who they are. I also wanted to ensure that the map I created was consistent with the lessons of virtue, human history, and the truth. The problem is that capital T truth is hard to find. Everyone is selling something, their version of the truth. Finding the answers to fulfillment was, and still is, like looking for a needle in a haystack. I needed a simple way to organize my discoveries so that they were useful and clear. Brief layout. We'll start with a manifesto for desire, which acts as a summary. After that, we will begin the adventure of learning to see our desires like a treasure map. While we explore, I will weave in the stories of Patrick, Naphtali, and Chip. Each story will serve as a daily example of what living with desire is like. I will begin the chapters with a part from each story, followed by the main content. Lastly, we'll consider God and prayer as useful ways to help fulfill your desires every time. Even if you are not religious or do not believe in God, some useful tenets about the idea of God can unlock new heights of satisfaction and fulfillment. How to read this book. To benefit the most from this book, you also need to expect a few things. Reading this book without every ingredient necessary to bake the cake, or fulfill your desire, will make your experience frustrating and annoying. If you have every ingredient, you will probably change your life. You can make your cake and eat it too. First, be willing to learn and grow. There is probably something in this book you didn't know, or a mindset shift that will prove useful to you that you haven't tried yet. If you aren't willing to budge on your beliefs, you probably won't get much from this book. Just be open to receiving and being nourished. Second, much of what is written here will be simple enough to understand, yet hard to live out. You will need lots of patience to learn how to satisfy your desires in the best way. If you are impatient like me, think of patience as leveling your spirit. This means that despite all the storms and suffering in your life, you maintain your peace and stay level-headed, kinda like a Navy SEAL. When you level your spirit, you recognize that satisfying your desires accurately will take some time to get right. Third, if you struggle to have hope, you are not alone. If you've never been able to fulfill your desires completely, or you always seem to be left wanting, there's good news for you. This book might just be what you need to find hope again, to finally break through the frustration and resentment caused by your unsatisfied desires. Fourth, you reach the fullness when you are open to change and learning. There will most likely be some things in this book that might trigger or cause you to disagree. That's okay. Run out the arguments. See each point as if you believed it. If you can do that and still disagree, I encourage it. Fifth, the whole point of this book is to help you fulfill every good desire you have. See each point made and idea proposed from that perspective. I am not trying to convert you or sell you anything. You did pick up this book, so thank you. There might be ideas and steps here that go against everything you believe, yet they might just be the answers you've been looking for that fulfills your desires. Just read it, take what's valuable to you for your life, and leave the rest.
An analogy you need to know. There is an analogy for sin or wrongdoing used in different communities called missing the mark. It comes from archery. The idea is that you hit your mark or target every time. When you miss the mark, you miss the target you were aiming at. The parallel here is that missing the mark is like sin, a mistake or intentional wrong you do. When you miss the mark in sin, you miss the target. We can take this analogy further. The efforts you put into improving your target average are the virtues you choose to master. When you miss, you can keep missing, or you can learn from your mistakes. There's always a lesson to learn hidden in the brokenness of sin. When you hit the mark, you can enjoy the fruits of your efforts and receive the benefits of winning. Don't you want to win? How you aim also determines how successful you will be. If you aim small, you'll miss small. You'll miss almost every time if you shoot in the target's general direction but don't specify where to aim. The parallel here is in moral choices. Choose an easy answer that isn't quite the fullness, and you might satisfy your desires somewhat. That's lame. Choose the best answer for your desire, and you get to enjoy total satisfaction without negative consequences. That's awesome. However, answers that don't fully satisfy are sometimes all we seem to have. That's where the adventure begins. For the sake of argument, we'll try to focus on finding only the best answers that fit your desires, not the mediocre or incorrect ones. The idea here is that we will only be interested in perfect satisfaction. This means that we will need to learn and be willing to practice until we start hitting the mark more than we miss it. Lastly, while this missing the mark analogy is useful, we will also use a treasure map analogy. Think of the mark or target you aim for as the treasure you seek. That's how these two analogies will work together. Let's get going. This book is the way forward through the maze of your complex recipe of desires. I want to equip you with the necessary tools to satisfy every good desire. I want you to experience the joy of fulfilling your desire almost daily. It's possible for you and available to you now. This book is the map you've been missing and needing for your desires. In your hands is the path forward to the treasure you seek. Peace be with you. Jonathon Vogel. Quick note. An easy hack I found is reading the book in digital or physical format as I listen to it. I learn better and faster when I do. You can get access to the digital version for 99 cents on Amazon or the physical version on Amazon as well. I also give you a video version of this book for free or at cost. Visit jonathonvogel.com. Part 1. Where to begin. Your desires are an invitation to love. Love well, and you desire well. Love fully, and you desire fully. Love accurately, and you fulfill your desires completely. Chapter 1. Manifesto of Perfect Desire. Love and do what you want. Augustine of Hippo. If love is willing the good of another, desire is a call to love. Perfect desire begins and ends in love. To the degree you love, you desire well. Learn how to love. That's it. That's the point. The great secret of a desirable life is love. When you learn to love, you perfect your desires. You can become everything you could be when you love. Perfect love satisfies you forever. It casts out all fear and changes the world. Every act of love drips like honey, full of sweet meaning. The sweetness of honey is like your desires, adding flavor to life. In the sweet taste of desire is the promise of every desire fulfilled. Once you taste it, you keep coming back for more. Not every desire should be met. Some desires have been tampered with. These tampered desires are not healthy. Only healthy desires can be fully met. Learn to see your desires as they are. Learn to know when they are healthy and when they are not. Learn to fix any tampering with them. Learn to seek the correct answer for each desire. Learn the right dose for each answer to fully satisfy your desires. When you fulfill your desires accurately, you live fully.
I hope you're getting value out of this so far. I know I certainly am. It's super helpful to have the audio version to this book. If you're a visual learner or you like video formats, I have all the different ways this book is produced at jonathanvogel.com/desirewell. You can also see a physical version of the treasure map and Desireland of all the concepts put together on one page. And the ebook is only 99 cents. Go pick up your copy on Amazon today.
Chapter 2. Finding what we want. Happiness is secured through virtue. It is a good attained by man's own will. Thomas Aquinas. Chip sits in his darkened room. The computer screen glows brightly, casting looming shadows. His controller feels heavy in his hands, his fingers numb from the hours of gaming. On the desk next to him, piles of empty takeout containers and wrappers tower like a monument to his habit. His mouth is packed with food again as he mindlessly devours another greasy meal. He doesn't even taste it anymore. The food, the game, and the moment blur into a hazy loop of comfort that numbs his pain. But today, something in him shifts as he sinks further into the chair. He pauses mid-bite, staring at the screen, but the excitement disappears. The win doesn't feel like a win. He feels nothing. Then the realization hits him. He's not just full, he's empty. His chest tightens and his body aches with every breath. But it's not just the physical pain anymore. This is something deeper. The years of eating to avoid his emotions and the weight creeping on to fill the void have all led him to this moment. It's not just about the calories. It's about the emptiness. Chip doesn't care. He doesn't care about the game, the food, or the future. He's numb. His depression is a heavy blanket, and he's suffocating under it. But deep down, the nagging thought claws at him. This can't be all there is. Time seems to pass quickly. We want things now, but don't know how long we will have to wait to get them. Some things take a lifetime, and some need a lifetime. This struggle can keep us stuck or make us choose the wrong thing. Desires are hard to fill and can cost a lot. We often pick easy answers to try and satisfy us, but frequently we do not pick the right ones. Sometimes we choose quick answers that only last for a while. Many of these quick answers in the wrong amounts can twist our desires into unhealthy things that lead to addiction, sickness, and death. As we look for answers, we find new desires we didn't know we had. Some are good, and some aren't. We may not know our root desires deep down. Why is the path often unclear to what we want? Why do we keep missing the mark? There must be a way to find the treasure we seek. What we default to doesn't work. Many people try to suppress their desires. They see them as problems that are too hard or wrong to fulfill. They choose to ignore or avoid their desires. Sometimes they focus their desires on the wrong answer. However, repressed or ignored desires often don't go away, and the incorrect answer can lead to much harm. Ignored or repressed desires are dangerous. When you fight desires with willpower for too long, they become starved. Starved desires become desperate. They often come back stronger. They twist and become unhealthy. However, goodness can still live in a twisted desire, and twisted desires can heal back to health. The problem is that we don't always see the root cause of our twisted desires. We try to fulfill them with things that won't heal or satisfy them. When our desires become twisted, the wrong things can become the object of our desire. Sometimes our thoughts or people prevent us from filling our desires with the best answers. The worst is reducing a person to the object of your desire. This habit can look like fantastic thoughts or actions that use that person. You might even say you were acting in love yet you take, instead of willing what is good for them. Objectifying people truly is the opposite of love. Our desires should fuel us to love better, not focus on what we can use to fulfill them. Trauma. The trauma you live through can become a crutch that tampers you or a tool that forms you. It's up to you which one you choose. Treating trauma in your life as a crutch can ruin your life. The effects of trauma crippling you often look like living in the past, retelling your stories over and over, forming incomplete beliefs that keep you from living, ignoring reality, embracing worry, doubt, and fear when similar or other traumatic experiences happen, not learning how to move on, and not healing properly. The only way forward to heal from your trauma is to process it and heal the wound it has caused. When you relive your trauma without proper healing, you keep massaging it like a cut and let it worsen. You keep it open, you analyze it, and you continue living with the pain. Healing your wound sometimes means switching it up. You use alcohol to clean it and disinfect it. You stitch it closed. You may have to reopen it once to clean it, but you leave it to heal over time once you've dealt with it. Services like therapy can be a useful tool in the right way if it acts like alcohol to clean your wound. Today, you can decide that your trauma is a tool for healing and growth. Here's how. Treat yourself with love and respect. You are a gift. Remember everything once. Clean the wound and stitch it up. Process and grieve what you need to, then leave it alone. Acknowledge reality now. What happened isn't happening now. Leave the past where it belongs, in the past. Recognize the person you've become. Understand your past as lessons. Each lesson is a tool in your tool belt. Make a plan to change your thoughts and actions. Most people don't. That's why they are stuck. They keep massaging their open wounds. Act each step in good faith. More on this in Chapter 7. Move forward in hope of a bigger and better future. Self-isolation is a crutch. Isolating ourselves can be an easy yet destructive decision. When we experience a traumatic answer to our desires or go through a difficult and painful situation, we can feel empty and abandoned. To survive, we push away the brutal reality we've experienced. We automatically shut down to protect ourselves. We disassociate ourselves from our desires. Sometimes we go too far and exclude other people trying to help us. This behavior isn't helpful. It often excludes the best answers for healing and wholeness. Don't lie to yourself. Some people say we need to get rid of our desires. This idea isn't helpful because A, desires come and go, and we often don't control when they start. And B, when we want to rid ourselves of desire, this is itself a desire. Desires help us understand the world, but we can easily misunderstand them. We often inherit desires from parents or friends and grow desires that seem good for us. However, we often think our desires are actually different from what they really are. We do this because our desires can be quite complex and hard to fulfill. We make our choices feel correct, even if the answer we choose is the wrong one. We avoid the whole truth. Often, we like a made-up reality without hard facts. To know your desires, you must be open to being wrong. When you listen and learn, the truth can reveal itself. You begin to see what your desires are and check whether they are healthy. More on this later. Then, you can take the next steps to improve, heal, and fulfill them. Sometimes we reject reality. We sometimes bend reality to fit what we think works to fulfill our desires. We can't know what best fills our desires if we don't understand them, yet we still try. Reject reality, and you lose the answers that completely fulfill your desires. Complete answers come with the real truth. An answer exists that will satisfy your desire. You must find it and the correct dose to fit your desire's actual needs. Logic and common sense isn't the full way. We often turn to logic and common sense. This tactic doesn't work if we only see our limited view as the full reality.
Logic helps if it starts from a healthy place. You need logic and reason to find the correct answers, but on its own, they can fall short. Easy answers often don't fulfill you if your desires are unhealthy. Without common sense, logic fails to help. You would then choose answers that might be wrong. Fix the map, then search for the treasure. Is morality useful? Morality can mean different things to different people. Morality often feels like it stops us from getting what we want. Without understanding it, morality can feel empty. It can feel like rules with no value. When we don't understand the specific ways morals tell us to live, it can seem confusing. Problems with morality include: we often do a poor job of explaining why we follow it. Some rules are wise but seem to need updating. Morality can seem like a list of shoulds and should nots, not a list of how to get what we want. Morality also helps us stay in good standing with the people who value it. If we follow their morals, we are part of their community. If we don't, they might push us out. Can morality give us what we want and unite us? Can it bring people together to live with shared beliefs and values? What if morality wasn't just old rules? What if it could lead to complete happiness? What if morality was a path to fulfill desires without harm? What if morality was a path to fulfill desires without harm? If morality could unite us and give us what we want, we may need to learn what it means and how it can help us. What is morality? Here's a useful way to think about morality beyond being oppressive rules. Quote, the morality of human acts depends on the object chosen, or your action, the end in view, or the intention, and the circumstance of the action. The object, the intention, and the circumstances make up the sources, or the constitutive elements, of the morality of human acts. CCC 1750. In other words, it's not just about what you do. Morality assesses more than just your actions. The best morality evaluates the effect your actions will have, what goal your actions lead to, and the context surrounding you in the moment as you act. If your goal is to fully satisfy your desires, morality reminds you where the path is when you forget. Not all moral standards work the same. Some are better than others. Some seem good but don't truly help. Some may sound good, but they keep us from what we want. The best morality helps people from all walks of life find the treasure. It shows the right path. It may not feel easy, but it leads to the treasure we seek. The best moral guidelines have stood the test of time. They help people, even when people change. They support each other without competing against each other. They lead to human flourishing. Useful morality gets you the treasure every time. Types of morality. Good moral rules guide you to the right goals. Perfect morality is like directions to the right treasure. You see the treasure clearly if you know what your desires need, even if it's not necessarily what you want. Tampering with your desires can prevent you from seeing the treasure. However, you may already have the treasure but need help seeing it. We need to clarify what you are missing. Trying to fulfill your desires without seeing the true treasure can cause harm. First, focus on healing any tampering. Then choose moral standards that guide you to the true treasure. The way to healing your desires is to choose the best answers for them and let useful morality guide you. The proper morals usually lead to healing and health, even if they seem different from what your desires initially want. The ignorant way. You can ignore right and wrong, choose what you think is fair, and chase what you want without a clear rule to follow. The problem is that we struggle to know what we want and are even worse at learning how to get it. We can be silly and not act grown up. We need help. You want things and you need things. Sometimes you want things you don't need. What we want changes, but what we need stays the same. You can convince yourself that what you want is what you need. What we think we want is often different from what we need inside. Our wants are valid, but they are only sometimes correct. Just because you want something, it doesn't mean you should have it. We can want things that don't help us. We can want things that won't meet our needs. Keep the fire warm. Let's use a fireplace analogy. Needs are like burning coals, requiring attention and maintenance to keep them warm and glowing. Needs are consistent and last a long time. Wants are like flames that burn brightly and intensely with the fuel you give them. They appear quickly and can go out just as fast. You are born with some coals. Other coals come from the flames you start. Some flames burn out too soon before coals form. Flames that burn out before they become coals represent when your wants aren't based on what you need. However, once your needs are taken care of, you don't always need a flame to have warm, glowing heat to sustain you. We should focus on what we truly need, not just what we want. When we do this, our needs often guide us to want the good things we need. With practice, our needs and wants can line up. The obstinate way. We often don't grow up enough to know what we want or learn the patience and skills to achieve it. Instead, we keep doing the same thing, hoping for a better result. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. When something works, we cling to it and make it a rule. We then defend this rule as if it's the only way things work or should be. We plant our feet in the sand even when the sand is unsteady. We have strict views about right and wrong, which can differ significantly from the natural sense of good and evil. It's hard to find what we're looking for when our beliefs are made up and not checked carefully. It takes wisdom and understanding to improve our sense of right and wrong. The tribal way. Many people live with a limited black and white view of right and wrong. They think their way is the only right way. This mindset happens when people keep what they learned as children without learning the deeper meaning behind what they believe. They stay immature and need help understanding the whole meaning behind the rules. They don't grow to see that some actions need a deeper understanding than just a simple answer. In some cases, this kind of thinking makes things clear and can provide a sense of boundaries and peace. Still, healthy discernment is needed when black and white thinking limits one's ability to find the treasure. This limited thinking can spread in a community. Leaders might add strict rules, making the community's ideas more rigid. This story loop can go on for generations without realization. Without the proper treasure, the community's desires can become quite twisted. They continue to see their twisted desires and moral standards as natural. It's the way it's always been, or it's just tradition. For example, parents may tell children not to lie. Children learn to be honest. As they grow, they can learn the value of discretion. Discretion is telling the truth in the right way to the right people. Without this, children might hurt others or themselves by being too blunt. Discretion isn't always clear in every situation. Some people may not need the whole truth. Some can't handle it yet. Discretion can protect and help people know the truth in a relevant way. You need discretion in telling the truth as much as you need to be truthful. In some cases, such as war or espionage, lying is sometimes necessary to protect. The virtuous way. Virtue is the work of improving yourself. You master your desires and learn how to answer them in ways that satisfy you. This work should be grounded in truth and reality. Good social and religious values help with this. Ideally, you base your social and religious guidelines on truth and reality. This pursuit gives you the path to fulfillment while uniting you with the people who share your moral values. Virtue reframes religion. Using religion to fulfill your desires can be quite useful. The word religion originates from the Latin term regulare, which means to bind oneself, like a bond or a union. In this book, we will define religion as a relationship with the divine. The idea is that you become one with the divine in every way. Religion, for the sake of satisfying desire, involves pursuing everything you could be in the best way.
It's hitting the mark every time. It represents total self-mastery while embracing the treasures you seek. You learn how to bless and see yourself and others through the lens of great reverence and mystery. A healthy view of religion is to live entirely for one another in pursuit of perfection. In other words, perfect love. The fullness of religion is not at odds with the fullness of pleasure, happiness, meaning, and wholeness of heart. Your disposition is key. Religion, in light of desire, can help us find the best way to love each other freely, fully, faithfully, and fruitfully in every way. Many religious, especially Judeo-Christian texts, read with a big assumption that you are in tune with the heart behind the teaching. Without the heart, religion can oppress and feel like an imposition. You need to fall in love before the ways of love make sense. Religion can be a great way of love that invites you to the fullness of the treasure you seek. Fulfilling your every good desire can become an intensely religious experience. Useful morality equals quality virtue. When a group shares proven values, it can grow traditions that last. Many religious values have this strength. To find these values, we need to test and see what works. Many people live with different morals for a time. They see how it affects them. Satisfaction can be religious. The problem is that religion can give you a social stigma or an imposing feeling. You have to remember that people who mess up leading, teaching, or following religion are not a reflection on the whole institution. Like bad actors in a movie, they don't ruin all of film. Here's the challenge. Look up a religious or social guideline for a desire you struggle to fulfill. Be as objective as you can. Learn the guidelines, the heart behind why they exist, and the history around it. And no, this is not a ploy to convert you. Different groups and religions often have useful ideas and ways to fulfill your desires. As a suggestion, you might find a lot of useful Catholic ones, even if you are not part of the Catholic Church. Try out the guideline for 90 days. If it doesn't work, write to me saying, "This guideline, XYZ, didn't work." Here's my email, jv@jonathonvogel.com. I'd love to hear from you. I promise you that looking for the best answers is something you won't regret. Chapter summary. Ultimately, seeing things as they are helps us understand what we truly need and want. Knowing our desires and feelings helps us learn about who we are. We can pursue useful morality and an understanding of religion that helps us fulfill our desires. Thinking questions. Can we see ourselves without judgment? Can we allow ourselves to be wrong? If we look closely at our chosen reality, will we see it as missing something? What truth, hidden in our desires, holds more treasure than we thought?
I hope you enjoyed the first part of Desire Well, how to understand your desires and fill them completely. We've gotten through the first part of this book. There's still a little bit more to part 1, but then we'll be moving on to part 2 in the next episode. So stick around for that. Make sure to grab your copy at jonathonvogel.com/desirewell or watch the free video series there. It's completely free to you, and the ebook's only 99 cents. Get your copy today and let me know how you get on.